The Metaphysics of the Pope, Unveiling the Spiritual Mind or Masking It. Welcome back to Ancient the Architect TV. This is Ancient the Architect, and this is not a podcast for worshipers of institutions. This is a podcast for initiates of truth. Today, we unveil one of the most powerful religious figures in human history, not as a man, but as a symbol, the Pope. At first glance, the Pope is the vicar of Christ, the spiritual shepherd of millions. But when decoded metaphysically, the Pope represents something much deeper, the spiritual mind, the faculty within the soul that should guide the emotions, align the personality to higher principles, and channel divine wisdom into moral direction. He is meant to be a living emblem of the inner causal temple, an Aaron, a high priest of inner wisdom. But today we ask, has the Pope become a mask? Or has this always been the case? Was the role ever truly about divine realization? Or has it always been about religious management, ritual control, and spiritual substitution? This isn't a scandal expose. This is metaphysical surgery. And no religious image, no crown of gold, will be exempt from the blade of truth. Let's return to the metaphysical root. The spiritual mind, what the ancients called buddhi manas, is not intellectualism. It is the inner high priest, operating silently, sacrificially, ministering between the lower mind and the higher self. It is Aaron. It is the Agnidra. It is the Christ of the soul, laboring not for applause, but for the construction of the causal body. The Pope, the Pontiff, the High Priest, even the tiara, these all symbolize the soul's governance when under divine order. The Triple Crown represents dominion over the mental, astral, and physical bodies. The true Pope is not a celebrity in robes. He is a mirror of the inner temple, directing religious activity not for pageantry, but for purification. The Church of God, metaphysically, is not a building. It is the causal sanctuary where wisdom, truth, and love live as eternal frequencies. The high priesthood was meant to awaken that church within each person, not to demand fealty to an external throne. The corruption from priest to power. So where did it fracture? It fractured when spiritual function became political office, when the inner guide became the outer governor, when the fire of the altar was replaced by the fear of punishment. Religious control systems inverted the priesthood. The Pope, once the archetype of the spiritual mind, became a symbol of religious dominance, psychological control, and global ritual hierarchy. The inner temple was hidden behind ceremony, dogma, and pageantry. Worse, the suppression of natural energies, particularly sexual and emotional, led to their grotesque distortion. Nuns burying their femininity, priests shamed into silence, forbidden desires metastasizing into abuse. The metaphysical law is simple. What is repressed returns malformed, and the Catholic system has centuries of wounds to account for. But deeper still, the psychology of followers reveals the greater issue. Why do people fall to their knees when they see a man in white robes? Why do they sob and tremble as if divinity has entered the room? This isn't reverence, it is projection. The spiritual mind, exiled from within, is now worshipped outside. The Pope has become the idol of a displaced inner god, the Vatican veil, and yet, behind the velvet curtains and incense lies something even darker, the hoarding of light. Ancient manuscripts, scrolls, and metaphysical technologies sit buried in the Vatican library, sealed from public sight. The very knowledge that could free humanity lies encrypted beneath marble and papal decree. What is more paradoxical than crucifying the man you now worship? The Roman system killed the one they call Christ, and then built a throne upon his bones. The architecture of the Catholic Church stands upon a metaphysical contradiction, conquest disguised as redemption. They preach against astrology, metaphysics, and inner awakening, yet their elite are trained in those very sciences. Why forbid the knowledge that heals unless you seek to govern the sick? The Cardinal Conclave does not select a spiritual mind. They select a global executive. And so the Pope is not elected by higher vibration, but by human consensus, masked in ritual. But if the Pope is a mask, who made it possible? The answer is painful. The followers. Those who surrender their spiritual sovereignty for the illusion of salvation. Those who need a middleman to access God. The psychology of a Pope worshiper is one of internal exile. They don't trust their own causal body, their own discernment, their own connection to the word within. They need robes, gold, incense, and Latin to feel holy. But no man can save you. No external priest can offer what only the higher self can give. The true high priest lives in the quiet sanctum of your inner flame, offering not ritual, but realization. The religious brain fears the unknown. It clings to external security, and so it becomes prey to institutions that promise heaven while delivering chains. Beyond the tiara, the true initiate's path. So what now? You are not called to hate the Pope nor to worship him. You are called to transcend him, to recognize that the Pope, in his ideal, was meant to remind you of your own spiritual mind, your own high priest, your own causal temple. But in his distortion, he becomes a mirror of the danger of misplaced faith. This is not a call for rebellion, it is a call for awakening. For the initiate who hears this message, the lesson is clear. Do not build cathedrals outside while neglecting the altar within. Reclaim your sovereignty. Rebuild the inner sanctuary. Let the spiritual mind, unshackled by institution, minister once again to your soul. And when the tiara of gold falls, let it fall. Because you were never meant to kneel before a man. You were meant to rise before your own God. This is Ancient the Architect. This is the metaphysics of the Pope, not the man, not the office, but the truth.